Hi, this is Bob Papa, voice of the New York Football Giants, and this is the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast.
Welcome back, Giants fans, to the final episode of this preseason interview series. This is number 30. I have no idea how it's got that much, but it did. We're going to end it with 2013 first-round pick, the man who came straight off the couch in 2023, and the host of NetWorth with Justin Pugh. It's Justin Pugh. How you doing, buddy?
It's always good when we do the intro, and it's like NetWorth with Justin Pugh. Here's Justin Pugh. No, I appreciate it, Craig. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be back.
Yeah. It's been a while. Obviously, before you came off the couch and decided to sign with the Giants was the last time we spoke. And a lot's happened. So we'll get straight into it, basically. We spoke about it last time when you were here. How was it after that ACL to get back out on the field?
It's tough. I mean, look, I'm assuming you're asking because Daniel Jones is about to do the same thing, and he's coming off the ACL, and you don't feel 100% ever. I mean, still to this day, you still feel it from time to time. So it's not something that you just shake off. Modern medicine's amazing. You can come back and you can play within 10 months. I know the dedication that Daniel has put into it. I tore my ACL, thought I was retiring, and went to Italy on a honeymoon. So Daniel was definitely feeling much better than I was at that time. But it was a crazy experience. It wasn't easy to go out there and play left tackle, not knowing the playbook, not knowing the snap count, not knowing any of the guys that I was playing next to, and then not having put pads on since 365 days earlier than that. So it was a fun season. I did exactly what I wanted to do. I came back to help the team I love, our Giants, the team that we both love, and I'm excited for the season to kick off here in a couple of days.
Yeah. So if we kind of touch on last year, what do you think was the defining factor with the struggles that we had on the offensive line across the season?
The lack of continuity, guys constantly being shuffled in, Andrew Thomas getting hurt week one. You get down in games, you're constantly throwing, different quarterbacks coming in, communication's all different. So that was definitely a big issue. I think that we fought, we battled, and that's something that I'm proud of the guys for, because the way we started the season, I think, what was it, 1-5 at the time? I think after the Buffalo Bills game, we were 1-5. To battle back and to be 6-11. We kind of going 500 down the stretch. You could have beat the Jets. We should have beat who else? We should have beat the Bills, the Rams. We lost right there at the end. So if you look at 3 games that went the other way, we beat a Green Bay team and had a chance to make the playoffs. And there's not a single person that would have looked at our team on paper and said that team could possibly get close, and we did. So I'm proud of that.
And you were obviously quite close to DeVito mania as it became throughout the season. What were your, because you're on the inside, what were your kind of views on the way that really snowballed? And then obviously it ended quite abruptly with Tyrod coming back in.
Yeah, it was one of the craziest things I've ever been a part of. It's not as crazy as the Odell mania. That was next level. That was globally a phenomenon. But it was that next tier. It was that next tier. Tommy's a great guy. We started in the practice squad huddle together, and I always just tell him to have fun. And then I look at him on Monday night, and we're starting on Monday Night Football, and we did do just that. So, he took advantage of every opportunity he had, went out there and showcased his abilities. Obviously, he's still on the team right now, so he's still a very good player. I love everything that he brings. He has a swagger, a confidence that you just can't shake. So I'm happy for him. He's continuing to prove everybody wrong. And obviously, it ended abruptly last year. They brought Tyrod back in. That's the nature of the business. If you're struggling in a game, they might bring someone else to replace you. Everyone at some point is going to get replaced. But hats off to Tommy for keep coming back and battling, and that just goes to show what type of man he is and what type of competitor he is. And that's going to, prove him well throughout his career.
So one of the things that we got in this off season was Hard Knocks. Did you manage to watch all of the Hard Knocks stuff with the Giants?
Best Hard Knocks of all time for me. Besides the original, when we first got the first ever Hard Knocks, that was obviously, amazing. But to get the behind the scenes, to get the business of football, to see how Joe Shane and co process, to see Mr. Merrick come in, that was, for me, everything. Because, you always want to know how those guys behind the curtain are pulling the strings and making decisions.
Did you have like a favorite moment from it? Something that stood out? I mean, there was a lot in there that kind of showed off Dave's sense of humor. I suppose one question is, do you think Dave's can run a 40 in 7 seconds?
Yeah, Dave's can't run a 40. You know what? Dave has lost a bunch of weight. So if anything, this is the best time for him to go out and time himself. But Dave's is an unbelievable coach. He just came out and said he's calling the plays. He is one of the best offensive minds I've ever been around. But I'll say this, being a head coach and being an offensive coordinator are two very different things. Head coach, you're the CEO of the team. So I'll be interested to see how he balanced calling the plays and handling the team, because that is the hardest part. Like Coach Coughlin, he was the CEO of that organization. He would come in and get on people for certain position skills, and maybe they messed up this play, but he was the CEO. He was, worrying about team meetings, inspiring us, making the rules, enforcing the rules. And that's where you can't lose that when you want to try to go back and call plays. You still got to be the head coach. And that is something that I'm excited to see that for Dave's this year. And I'm excited for this season.
So obviously we've had the preseason that's been and gone with the Giants. Offensively, it was quite underwhelming, but I think one thing to think about there is just preseason as a whole and how that comes across. So what are your thoughts on preseason and how does it really impact your preparation for the season going forward?
It's all about, getting out of it healthy. If you're making the team, like a guy like Andrew Thomas, he knows he's going to be on the team. It's like, all right, let me go out there, knock some rust off, get some reps next to my guys. And look, the Giants didn't look great in the one Texans game early on. And that's something that is going to be the question mark going forward. You can't make those critical mistakes, those mistakes that are turnovers that were, go for 6 the other way or result in points the other way. So I'm fine with Daniel Jones taking shots. I love him taking shots. He's going to throw picks. You want to throw 50-50 balls to guys like Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton. Typically they come down with them. We just can't have the turnovers that result in points for the other team.
So you touched on Daniel Jones there, so we'll have a little chat about him. Much maligned. You saw firsthand what happened last year with him. We've already said tore his ACL. What are your thoughts on Daniel Jones overall, and what do you think the expectations he's going to have for himself this year?
DJ gets such a bad rap in New York City because he had injury last year, the offensive line. I mean, look, we had injuries across the board. That team, the fact that we went 6-11 was probably a miracle after starting out 1-5. DJ wasn't healthy last year. He had the neck injury, then he had a knee injury. So I got to play one quarter with DJ, and so I don't have a great synopsis, but I know him as a man, as a competitor. He's a great guy. He works hard. He's such a hard worker. It reminds me of the way he works and the way he prepares, just like Eli Manning. Obviously, he played under Eli Manning for a season or two there in the beginning. And this is a make or break year for him. I'm glad they didn't mortgage the future to try to trade up for a rookie quarterback or make any, rash decisions. You're building to win for the next 10 years. And that's why I hope they give this regime more time to continue to get this right, and the fan base to have some patience. You don't want to get too high. You don't want to get too low. And I always talk about that on my show. And that's the same way with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones took this team to the playoffs. They paid him because they know what he can do. He has to get back to that form this year, and he knows it. He's come out and said, I hear what's going on out there. I know it's being said about me out there. I don't like it, but I have to go prove everybody wrong. I'm looking for him to do that this year. I'm looking for them to get back to that 2022 New York Giants. I'm looking for them to get into the playoffs, the wild card this year. They're a rowdy bunch. They got a great defense. Get back to defensive football, and that's what we did last season. The defense carried us. I look for the defense to be a strong contributor again this year.
You look at the offensive line, obviously a lot's changed. 3 personnel are now in the building and are starters for us. Brand new offensive line coach in Carmen Brasillo. How do you think they're going to fare this season?
I think they're going to do well. I mean, look, it's all about staying healthy. I can always say that. So we'll just take that off the table. If these guys stay healthy, they're really, really good players. Andrew Thomas, one of the best at his position. John Runyon Jr., we just paid him to come in here as a great pass protector, can run block, can do it all. John Michael Schmidt is the key to making this whole thing go. He's been a little banged up throughout training camp. I know him. He is going to become the leader of this offensive line. He's very vocal. He does a great job of communicating up front. And then we have the Las Vegas Raiders on the right side with Greg Van Roten, Jermaine Illuminor, Carm Brasillo. Like, we literally are the New York Raiders on the offensive side of the ball. on the right side of the offensive ball, and that's fine. GVR, I think, was a sneaky signing. He's the veteran playing that role that I did last year. Love him. Jermaine Illuminor has played right tackle at a high level. And what it does is it takes all the pressure off Evan Neal. We're not talking about Evan Neal. We're not putting all that pressure on him. He's going to allowed to get healthy, however I said that. And he doesn't have the pressure to go out there and be that right tackle day one. There will be an injury on this offensive line. Evan Neal will play this year. I've said this once and I will say it again. Fans, bear with us. Support this offensive line regardless. Like, just pretend they're all your son, your brother, your cousin, someone you love, and just go to battle for them and defend them instead of turning on them after one game. Just give me one season of just positive energy around this offense, regardless of the ups and downs. Let's just be positive. The Giants are trending in the right direction. You see it across the board. They have some cornerstone pieces that we know are going to be here. I talked about Andrew Thomas. Malik Neighbors had a number unretired for him, which has got to be unheard of for a guy that's never taken a snap in the NFL. That just goes to show how good they feel about him. You have Dexter Lawrence, who is now the best nose guard in the NFL. He's on his way to having, that type of Hall of Fame career, dominant defensive tackle. Brian Burns, that is a big spotlight this year. And then Kayvon Thibodeau. Those pieces are the keys to success for the Giants now and into the future. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Deonte Banks as well.
Yeah, obviously he's a person who's come under the microscope a little bit because of some of the struggles at cornerback or perceived cornerback struggles across training camp. But one last thing I just wanted to ask you on training camp. There were the fights with the Lions, obviously. What happens there when you're kind of battling one-on-one in the kind of starters versus starters? Is it just a heat of the moment thing and you just want to kind of set the tone?
Yeah, I mean, you're traveling into somebody's territory, into somebody's house. You're going and playing there against them in practice, and it gets a little chippy. There's fights every time. The reason we're doing more of these joint practices because we're doing less preseason. Guys aren't really playing in the preseason. So a joint practice is just like a forced way of getting the ones. You're forcing them to take reps in the game. So it's a good thing. You're getting more reps. It's the physicality there. You're callousing the body. There's always going to be fights in training camp practices, especially when you go joint. And the other thing I'll say about joint practices and just preseason in general, it's all vanilla stuff. We just want to see two guys line up and hit each other and see who's better, who's stronger, who's faster. Don't read into we're not scheming people up. We're not doing anything crazy. It's very vanilla stuff. We're trying to evaluate talent, and that's what preseason's for. So I encourage fans, don't get too high. Don't get too low. You're going to find out in what's it today? Friday, 2 days, what the team is made of. Yeah.
Cool. Some quick fire predictions. So by the end of the season, who do you think will be classified as the most valuable player on offense?
I'm going Daniel Jones. He's going to be the comeback player of the year. I don't know if in the NFL, but definitely for the New York Giants. Aside from the quarterback position, which is the sexy position to pick, I will say Greg Van Roten. He's a veteran guy that's come in. He's going to kind of be that. He's not going to kind of be that. He is going to be that glue that holds the team together. The key for success is that offensive line, like we've mentioned. I think Greg Van Roten is a sneaky veteran hire. I got to give a shout out to all the veteran offensive guards out there. So I'm excited for him.
And then what about on the flip side on the defense?
Kayvon Thibodeau. Brian Burns is going to get double teamed. Dex is going to get slid to every time. He's going to get double teamed. Kayvon Thibodeau is going to be one-on-one off all year long. Teams are going to force him to beat their offensive tackle. And if he can do that consistently, the Giants have one of the best defensive lines in football, and they are going to feast. So I think Kayvon Thibodeau is the guy that I say he needs to have a big year for that defense, and I think he will.
Cool. And then surprise package. So the person who's going under the radar that splashes.
He's probably not under the radar anymore. Jason Pinnock is a stud at safety, and everyone knows who he is. I want to give a shout out to him on the defense. He's just a great dude, great leader. He's going to have an unbelievable season. I mentioned Greg Van Roten, so I guess I kind of answered my question last time. But a guy that doesn't get enough love is Darius Slayton. He's just consistently produced. He will produce again this year. He is a deep ball specialist. He makes all the plays. Great leader, works hard. So I'm going to go Darius Slayton for my unsung hero because he deserves some more praise.
Cool. So that's all the questions done. Thanks very much for joining me. But before we go, let's just quickly touch on NetWorth with Justin Pugh. episode came out today with the Giants. You've gone through all of the teams. I'm guessing you're quite tired because you were at Arrowhead yesterday as well. How did that go?
I was in Kansas City, so we were releasing a series actually on Athlete Podcast. It's like an original content arm that we're building out right now. So athletes interacting with the fans. And if you're going to interact with the fans, you got to find the best fans in the world. And that is my job this year. So we're going to every Thursday night football game. I'm looking for the loudest, the proudest fans in the NFL. And I'm looking to crown the best fan base in the NFL this year. And I started with Chiefs Kingdom. They were loud. They were rambunctious. They were also very friendly. I love the Chiefs fans. They accepted there was a bunch of Ravens fans. There was no violence in the parking lot. It was very civil. The stadium is loud. It impacted the game last night. So the food scene in Kansas City, the city itself is beautiful. Barbecue. It is a must-visit destination. I will be releasing a video on this and showing my findings, interviewing the fans, going to the best barbecue called Joe's, and that is going to be dropping Monday this upcoming week after the season.
Cool. So this is going out tomorrow night on a Saturday. It's the final episode, as I've said. So
Amazing.
Viewers, listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that lovely stuff. I'll put our social links in the description down below. I'll put Justin's social links for all of his podcast, for him, for athletes, everything down there. But until next time, let's go Giants.
Let's go Giants. I got them finishing 10-7 and making the wild card too. So add that in there.
We'll add that in there. Thank you so much.